Sandra, our next guest recently visited the overcrowded migrant facility in Donna, Texas. We've shown you the confrontation that he had with that administration official who's trying to block him from taking photographs and video. He's now blasting the Biden border crisis as a, quote, man-made humanitarian disaster. Let's bring in Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, good to see you. We know that you've seen this up close and personal. When you see the video that we have been airing today of those two little girls, aged 3 and 5, just dumped over that border wall, which is 14 feet high, into the desert, and then just left there as the smugglers hightail it out of there. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's horrific, and tragically it is happening now every day. I've been to the border many, many times over the past 10 years, and I've never seen it even close to this bad. The numbers are through the roof, and as you mentioned a minute ago, it is the direct result of decisions Joe Biden made in his very first week as president. His first week as president, he made 3 critical decisions. Number 1, he immediately halted construction of the border wall. That leaves huge holes where it wasn't finished being built, and through those holes we have illegal immigrants that are streaming every night. Number 2, he reinstated the failed catch and release policy. That results in people being apprehended and given a court date sometime in the future and let go, and inevitably most of them never come back. And number 3, he ended the Remain in Mexico international agreement. This was the most important of the 3. President Trump had negotiated with the government of Mexico an agreement that immigrants from Central America who crossed illegally through Mexico would remain in Mexico while their asylum cases were proceeding. And that it worked. It produced results. Last year, we had the lowest illegal immigration in 45 years. And on week 1, Joe Biden ripped that agreement in pieces and caused the border crisis we're seeing right now.
And now a solution, as far as we can tell, he sees, is to appoint Kamala Harris to the head of the problem solving at the border. But instead of heading to the border, it appears their plan is to deal with the home countries from where these immigrants are coming, Senator Cruz. Kamala Harris, by the way, she was given this role 8 days ago. She was tapped for this border crisis role. We haven't seen a press conference. We barely see her take any questions. And we certainly haven't seen her at the border. So where's the urgency on the part of this administration? We know that they want to blame the previous administration. So fine, they could do that. But there's still a crisis at the border. So what are they doing about it?
Well, nobody's in charge. Joe Biden certainly doesn't want to be in charge. He wants to wash his hands from it. So he appointed Kamala Harris to be in charge of the border, but she very quickly realized she didn't want it because she didn't have any answers. And so within a day or two, she either quit or was fired because the administration then announced that, no, Kamala's not in charge either. Nobody knows who's in charge. And the truth of the matter is nobody's in charge. You know, when I went last week, I brought 19 senators to the border. We went into that Donna facility. The Donna facility's capacity with COVID restrictions is 250 people. It had over 4,000 people crammed in it. It was over 1,500 times capacity. And by the way, I asked then for the media to come in. Fox News wanted to embed with me. ABC News wanted to embed with us and go in and see. The Biden administration said no. No cameras, no media, no reporters. Thankfully, the attention that the 19 senators got, we filmed it, we took pictures, we put it out despite the Biden administration trying to silence us, trying to hide it from the American people. That pressure was so great that this week, the Biden administration finally gave in and allowed media cameras in, but it was only after repeatedly refusing our requests and the public pressure becoming too much to bear.
You know, Senator, the one thing that I'm wondering about, not only just where is the vice president on all of this, but where is the outrage on the left to what's going on? There was plenty during the last administration, but where are the immigrant groups now protesting the conditions under which these children are being held? Where are the Democratic politicians banging on the lectern in the House and the Senate? We heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in one of her famous online chats talking about, well, it was very traumatic for children to be separated from their parents during the last administration, which undoubtedly it was. But why isn't she talking about how traumatic it is for 2 children to be unceremoniously dumped over a wall in the middle of a desert?
Yeah. Now, look, you're exactly right. And there's a lot of hypocrisy on this issue. For 4 years, we heard Democrats and much of the media going on and on about kids in cages, kids in cages. They never acknowledged that it was Barack Obama who built those cages. I went and toured those cages in 2013 and 2014 when Obama built them. And now Joe Biden is building new cages. He's building bigger cages, and they're more full. You know, at the Donna facility, there were children just lined up in those cages, not 6 feet apart, not 3 feet apart, not even 3 inches apart, side by side by side, in the midst of a pandemic. 10% of those kids are testing positive for COVID. And then just a couple of days ago, I went to another detention facility the Biden administration had stood up in downtown Dallas, the K. Bailey Hutchison Convention Center. A giant room. It is the size of 3.5 football fields, to give you a sense of the scope. And the room is filled with nothing but cots lined up one after the other after the other. 2,200 cots, all in a row, all filled with teenage boys aged 13 through 17, just one slice of the children who are suffering, who are being brought in by human traffickers, who are being abused, who are being sexually abused. And all of that's the direct result of Joe Biden's political mistakes.
Senator, it was on this program when we were getting those live images, and a Border Patrol agent was taking us through that facility there in Donna, Texas, saying for COVID, we're only supposed to have 250 people in this facility. And to your point, they've got over 4,000. Yep. It is unbelievable when you look at the conditions that those kids are crammed in the middle of a pandemic. Senator, as far as the politics of this, as you know, Democrats are pointing to the Trump administration that they're dealing with the problems that it created. But when you look at the big picture here, you've got people saying, well, look what the left is doing now. Look what the Biden administration is doing. Talking about nixing the filibuster, unveiling this massive new spending plan, infrastructure that doesn't really include fixing roads and bridges. Are you concerned about the attention, rightly so, that the border is getting, but how that may be taking away from all the stuff that they're doing over here while the focus is on the border for your party?
Well, listen, the border is one example of the extreme partisan failure of this administration. There are many. Joe Biden made the strange choice to pivot hard left. I think he is captive to AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. The reason the border is unfolding, last year we had the lowest illegal immigration in 45 years. We had policies that worked. This year we have the worst illegal immigration in 20 years. That's about as dramatic a shift as you can ask for, and it occurred when Joe Biden became president, and it occurred because of decisions he made. Here's their problem. Here's why Biden and Kamala, neither one of them wants responsibility for this. They can't fix it. Consistent with the problems they've made, their radical left-wing base. You know, today AOC is tweeting the answer to this is abolish ICE. Just shut down ICE altogether and have open borders. That's the answer of the crazy left. And it's why Biden and Kamala are trapped, because there is no solution that stops this wave of humanity, this suffering, as long as they take their marching orders from the radical left. And they're doing the same thing on this massive tax increase on small businesses that they just rolled out. They're calling it an infrastructure bill, but it's a massive tax bill. They're doing their same thing on the federal takeover of elections, the Corrupt Politicians Act. All of it is being captive to the hard partisan left. And that's not what the American people want. We want solutions that actually work. And that's not what Joe Biden is giving them.
We'll be looking in more depth to all of that you just talked about a little bit later on in the program. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, good to spend time with you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Senator.
Always a pleasure.